No, let's start yet.
Whenever you're ready.
This is a quote I have from my speech. We uphold the right as individuals to grant their natural rights to use upon themselves any substance they desire. We supply them with factual information on uses and misuses, rather than attempt in vain to curb abuse legislation. We are not children, nor are we stupid. As adult humans, we are responsible for ourselves and have the right to make our own decisions. By Angel Flower document. In November, we adults are going to be able to make an important decision, one which has never been done before, one that can bring sense to the word and understanding of the word marijuana, a drug in which society calls it, a plant in which it is. This so-called drug has been banned from people and has been cast away, allowing alcohol and tobacco to take over. The toxins from these drugs are way worse than marijuana and have caused more deaths than any other drug. But yet they are being served on the table, being served daily. So the first thing we want to know is what makes this drug so dangerous. Next is why has society cast this drug away? And lastly, why should we, the people, vote in November on this so-called drug? To start, this drug is only dangerous if you believe it's dangerous. Marijuana only does a few things to a person in which has never killed anyone in comparison to tobacco and and alcohol. People believe many myths such as marijuana can cause permanent mental illness. However, according to Marijuana Myths and Marijuana Facts, a review of scientific evidence shows that there is no convincing scientific evidence that marijuana causes psychological damage or mental illness in either teenagers or adults. Some marijuana users experience psychological distress following injection. Such experience can be frightening, but the effects are temporary. It is also said that marijuana does more damage to the lungs than tobacco. As a result, the risk of serious lung damage should be lower in marijuana than in marijuana smokers. There have been no reports of lung cancer that has been related solely to marijuana. Unlike heavy tobacco smokers, heavy marijuana smokers exhibit no obstruction of the lungs of a small airway. That indicates people will not develop any real illness from marijuana. Next, why society has cast marijuana away. Society has made rumors on how marijuana is bad for a person, when really it is the abuse of the drug that is bad. That causes the problem. Society countlessly continues to place marijuana with other drugs such as coke and meth. However, marijuana does not cause the same effects that these particular drugs do. For the most part, the scary part that marijuana does do for you, said by Well.com, is that marijuana includes a faster heartbeat and pulse rate, bloodshot eyes, and dry mouth and throat. No scientific evidence indicates that marijuana improves hearing, eyesight, and skin sensitivity. Matter of fact, scientific studies show that marijuana effects actually can impair and reduce the short-term memory and actually alter sense of time. The drug should not be used while driving, obviously, or having operating machinery. The reason because usually people have this reaction of losing control, and which causes panic attacks. But even with that being said, that is like pretty much the most that will happen, and it's a symptom that goes away within a few hours. Rob K., exclusive director of marijuana policies project, states, people want to legalize marijuana. The main reason is because of government. The government released a campaign in 1937 where billions of dollars were being spent over a 70-year course to trash marijuana and the image and marijuana users by the federal government, and the people are not like willing to tell the truth. And we, the people, are and have become uninformed and afraid of this drug. And that's exactly where we're at right now. We're uninformed and afraid. Lastly, the reason why we should vote on November is to support the use of marijuana. According to supporters, they state that state-run studies have found that taxing marijuana could raise as much as $1.4 billion in annual revenue. Not only that, but the editor Christopher Weber from Politics Daily writes, if voters approve, this new law would allow Californians 21 and over to purchase up to 1 ounce of marijuana for personal uses. He also adds that polls show that the majority of California voters actually support the legalization. A field poll last year found that 56% of the state voters want to legalize the tax pot as a way to help the state's financial crisis. To add, the product is already on the streets and is being sold. So what do we do now? This is injustice, and this injustice must stop. In conclusion, vote in November because marijuana will take us out of this poor economic state. Not only that, but because it makes sense. Marijuana has been used for centuries and is now in the hands of drug cartels. If they can't sell, make a profit, and we can, in order to help ourselves, then why not? One way or another, this drug is on the streets and is uncontrolled. If marijuana is to be legalized, it would also be less valuable, making it less profitable for drug users, for drug dealers. Lastly, I would like to quote from Jerry G., a source of hubpages.com. He says that marijuana is a toxin that and lethal. And the way other drugs are that it is often grouped with. Scientific studies show that marijuana is not toxic to humans, and the amount of overdose that we have for the drug is unrealistic and actually laughable. 1,000 people couldn't even do it. Mary Jane is certainly safer than both tobacco and alcohol, and it's not even close in comparison. I support it. Thank you.
So RJ, what did you think?
I think it was a good speech. She started with a good quote in the beginning. I think in the beginning she needed to speak more towards the audience, but as she went on, she started doing that more. I think there was good evidence and good research put into her speech, and her vocal delivery changed in tempo and manners. So I think she did a good job.
All right.